Here on Brexit, I'm joined from Westminster by the Conservative MP Andrew Murrison, who's chair of the Northern Ireland Affairs Committee, and the Labour MP for Harrow West, Gareth Thomas. Good evening, gentlemen. Thanks very much for joining me. And Andrew Murrison, if I could start with you and just what you think of what Faisal Islam was just saying, that it seems like the EU may even be preparing for an extension of many more months, maybe even into next year, which would involve fighting the European elections. Is this the sort of Brexit you were hoping for?
Well, I'm not quite sure what such an extension would achieve that can't be achieved by the Prime Minister's stated intention, which is to extend this to the 30th of June. There's a point in that because of the talks that are currently underway with the Labour Party, with Jeremy Corbyn. But going beyond that, I fail to see what the value of it would be other than a prelude to a second referendum, perhaps, or a general election, which obviously the vast majority of my colleagues would be opposed to.
Well, Donald Tusk says in a letter tonight he doesn't think that these talks are going to lead anywhere and that he doesn't think the ratification is going to take place anytime soon.
Well, in that case, there'd be very little point in having an extension if what you want to do is to remain true to the outcome of the referendum of 2016, which I certainly do, and want to deliver something that looks a little bit like Brexit. If we kick this into the long grass, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and Gareth, I just wonder, Gareth Thomas, what you think of an extension. I mean, presumably, you're all in favour of any extension that might include, as Andrew Murrison says there, some sort of second referendum.
Well, I think it is important to have a longer extension so we can try and finalise in Parliament a deal that can get through both the House of Commons and the House of Lords and can then be put back to the public for confirmation one way or the other. I mean, Parliament has made progress in recent days, confronting the possibility of a no deal and agreeing in the end that that was definitely not in the interests of the country. But I think to sort out what a final Brexit deal might look like and then to allow the public to have the final say is going to require a longer extension.
Yeah, just on the point of a second vote, you want a second vote. Shouldn't that vote then, if there is one, be about how we leave? We've had the vote about remain or leave, and leave has won. Shouldn't a second vote be about basically how we leave?
Well, I certainly think that there should be a Brexit deal put to the British people. Personally, I think it should be the softest of Brexits that's possible to minimise the economic damage to our country from leaving the European Union, and that should be tested against the option of staying in the European Union. But absolutely, Parliament's got to agree what a Brexit deal looks like, and then, in my view, give the public the right to have the final say over what works.
And Andrew Murrison, I mean, what is your view about the fact we seem to be heading to a pretty soft Brexit? You're in negotiations, your leader's in negotiations with Jeremy Corbyn. What do you make of the way it's all heading?
Well, I don't think anybody is happy with the current situation, but I think the seeds of this situation, of course, were sown in 2017 in the general election when the Conservative Party lost its majority. And I don't think anybody should be particularly surprised that we are in what appears to people to be a rather chaotic situation at the moment. Our job now is to try to get the best result for the country, and I'm absolutely clear that that must involve honouring the outcome of the referendum of 2016. We can't simply dismiss that, and those who want a second-go referendum need to understand what this is doing to confidence in politicians overall, which was never very high among the public, and they're just seeing us at the moment as people who are just not true to our word, and that has long-term consequences for all of us.
And do you accept, Andrew Murrison, that the hardline Brexiteers, the ERG guys, overplayed their hand here, and effectively they're now faced with, for them, the worst of all options?
Yes, I really do think that. Had they supported the Prime Minister's withdrawal agreement, which was itself a compromise, I think we might have been in different place right now, but they decided to hold out for their very pure version of Brexit, which I don't think was ever going to happen, given what happened in 2017 in the general election. And I think that's a great pity. But look, that's for the historians. We have to move on from where we are at the moment.
And Gareth Thomas, I mean, Liam Fox today was saying that the customs union is the worst of all worlds because, you know, you can't set your own trade policy and you have no say in the EU's trade policy. Do you not accept that a customs union is, he's right, the worst of all deals?
No, absolutely not. I don't think so at all. I think he's wrong. It's quite clear that the business community want the certainty of the frictionless trade that a customs union offers. Most people recognise that we've actually got very good trade deals at the moment through our membership of the European Union. And bearing in mind that Liam Fox hasn't even been able to complete the rolling over of the trade agreements that we already had through the European Union with countries like Japan or South Korea, I think it's profoundly worrying that he still continues to peddle this myth that there are great new, shiny, wonderful trade deals just around the Brexit corner.
OK, and Andrew Morrison, I just wonder what you think of these threats from the ERG. Mark Francois saying if you hold us against our will, talking to the EU, you'll be facing perfidious Albion on speed, I think was his phrase. I mean, they seem determined to try and frustrate the EU, whatever happens from here on in.
Well, I think we need to dial down the rhetoric and try and get on with a job that's going to deliver most of what most people want. I think that's what we need to be doing as sensible mainstream politicians. If that involves a Labour customs union, I think we're going to have to start looking at that. That's the only way to get this across the line potentially and deliver something that looks like Brexit. I don't share Gareth's view on the desirability of a customs union. I think we'll come to the day. If we're to have it, we need to be able to get out of it at some point in the future. I think that would be my bottom line.
Right, but so just finally, I mean, I thought we were somewhere near agreement there, but you are fundamentally against the idea of a customs union. And Gareth Thomas is in favour of a customs union. I mean, where does the Prime Minister find this common ground then?
No, I think I made it perfectly clear that I'd be prepared to accept a Labour customs union if that's the only way we can get Brexit done. But it must be a customs union that a future government can get out of in accordance with the rules of any other treaty of this sort. What I'd be firmly against, and what I think Mr Corbyn is also against, is a form of customs union of the sort that we have within the Northern Ireland Protocol at the moment within the withdrawal agreement that would hold us in potentially forever. We can't enter that sort of relationship.
And just finally and briefly, Gareth Thomas, just make your point, if you will. I mean, do you think that there will be an agreement in these cross-party talks? Is it possible that could happen?
It's certainly possible that could happen, and that's why Keir Starmer and Jeremy and the others are taking the negotiations very seriously. But it is clear that Theresa May is going to have to shift away from some of her red lines, and in my view, agree to put back the deal she finally does to the British people.
OK. Gareth Thomas, Andrew Morrison, thanks very much for your time.